phone that it's properly going live. All right, I think we are live. Let me just check my phone to confirm, but here we have, and this dog has just come up to me knowing that I'm going to be busy for a minute.
That's how they do.
Yeah, licking my toes. Go away, girl.
Oh, no.
Hello, everyone. So I know I've been talking a lot about trusted house sitters, and I thought I was done because I've already aired all my grievances, but I found out I wasn't the only one on the trusted house sitters struggle bus. So I connected with Lexi from Leisure and Lace, and we're going to get into just sharing our experiences. We're here for transparency, y'all. We did this because we wanted to tap into some freedom and good housing. So we definitely want to make sure that we can give you the best advice and perspectives to make the best decisions for you. Let's see. And so this is also, let me just be completely transparent. We just planned this yesterday. So this is going to be a very raw and authentic conversation. So Lexi, if you have questions for me, feel free to ask them at any time. We're going to keep this as conversational as possible. So Lexi, I would love to first hear about you. What originally attracted you to Trusted House Sitters? I know, like me, you're a traveler. I would love to hear what brought you here.
Right. Well, of course, I think it's the same for you. I heard about Trusted House Sitters from Stephanie Parody of the Exodus Summit.
Yes.
And so I was quite intrigued because who doesn't want free accommodations when you're traveling? And I'm an avid traveler. I've been traveling for a very long time since, I think like 2001 is when I started traveling.
Nice.
And so I've been traveling ever since, and paying for accommodations. And it's so much nicer when you can stay in, really nice homes and, for free.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. And I think like you, I'm on a career break effectively, not working full time. So saving that money is so key for me. So I left my apartment. I used to live in Chicago. So I left my apartment there at the beginning of the year because I really wanted to skip that winter. So Trusted House Sitters for me really kicked off really like the last 4 months. I've just been on back to back sits. Mm-hmm. But I actually did join back in the fall of last year. But yeah, how long have you been on Trusted House Sitters?
Okay, I believe it was since November of last year.
Yeah.
So not terribly long. And, I started with, a few sits in North Carolina and then, kind of branched out. And actually, this one is my first international sit in Playa del Carmen.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. It's been really hard for me to find an international sit. Could you tell, like, what was your experience getting that first sit? Was it hard to get that first international sit?
It was pretty easy for me because I try to play up to their needs, their wants and their needs.
Okay.
So, and I don't write a book. A lot of people tell you to write a book when you're contacting but you don't have to. I only write like 3 sentences, and and I get chosen.
Mm-hmm. What are those three sentences though? Like what do you make sure to hit on in those sentences?
Oh, well, I read through the description, what they want, what they're looking for, and that type of thing. And I say, hey, I'm Lexi, and the reason why I'm the best person for the job is because, la, 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 maybe I might say something about my background, caring for, cats, or if they're dogs or whatever, or, I used to live in XYZ place, things like that. I really try to kind of relate to them in some way. And usually I can, because even one, we were, I was like, yeah, I'm looking at, going to Mexico, blah, 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 da, da, da. And it was like, oh, wow, I'm going to Mexico next week or whatever, right?
Right.
So a lot of times you can kind of, just look at things where you can relate to the people. And I know with this one, I told them I was the best because they don't have to worry about anybody, if their plane is late or canceling plans, because I was already here. I'm already here in Playa del Carmen. So, no worries.
That I think that's key because that's what I've been getting a lot when I try to reach out to anyone outside of the US. There is
Mhm.
that preference for a local sit because who wants to risk the pet sitter having some travel issues? So yeah, being in country. Word. But I know thanks for that tea. I'm just trying to learn myself because I'm that essay person. Like I have like a 3, 4 paragraph thing, like a template in my phone. So
Yeah.
let it be shorter. That could be really helpful. But I know we're not here to talk all the nice about trusted house sitters. I know everyone loves free housing, but I know we've been struggling. So could you talk about what's going on with your current sit and like what are those like big surprises that are really like kind of ruining the vibe for you right now?
Right. Well, just the whole thing with this one, I think it's like a Hellcat because yeah, but no, he's really though and they didn't say that. They claim that he doesn't like to be held, but he does like to be brushed, right? But
Okay.
when I tried to brush him, he bit me. So I was like, okay, that's the end of that. No more brushing.
Yeah, I don't have time to be bitten by no cat. That's just not the vibe. No, no, no.
Yeah, I was like, no more brushing. He's not gonna get any more of that. And then when I was preparing some food for him, like he reached up trying to grab, and I got scratched, and like blood, blood was pouring. So I was like, oh my gosh, this cat is crazy. So that's when I started carrying the spray bottle, everywhere I went around the house.
To like defend yourself from the cat?
Yes.
Damn. Okay. Wait, how I don't really know much about cats. I only watch dogs, but is this cat like a kitten? Is the behavior because it's young and it's still learning how to be socialized?
No, he's about 4,
Okay.
and so he's not a young kitten or anything like that. And I mean, he just has free reign. You know what I mean? They let him go anywhere, do anything. And when I told them about him eating the little foam mat, uh, they were like, "Oh, he's so mischievous."
They
You know,
that was the reaction?
yeah, meaning they already know he's bad. He's a really bad cat, and he's always up
It's
to
like,
something.
oh wow, a new horrible thing that
Right, right. Oh yeah, we should have put that up. you know so yeah, they know how bad he is, just like people with their bad kids. They won't be honest about how bad their kids are,
right.
and then you get in there and you're like, oh my god, this is not what I signed up for. And it's kind of bad for me because it's such a long sit.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. Repeat how I know we talked before we got on, but could you repeat how long your sit is?
Yeah, it's from mid-July through the end of August.
So like 6 weeks.
Yeah, so pretty long, and too long. I mean, it seemed longer just because I'm having all these issues, and I mentioned before, like after he ate those little foam bits, he threw up throughout the whole house, and you know, I don't know. Then just to spite me, he sits in my chair. See, people don't believe that pets do these things on purpose, but they know what they're doing. I'm like, why are you sitting in my chair? Because they get their little cat hairs all over everything.
Right. I believe that of cats. I'm gonna admit I'm not a cat person. I'm luckily allergic, so I don't really have to offend cat people directly. But oh my goodness, just the fact that they can go in their litter box and then be all up on your kitchen table and
Yeah.
cabinets like that is just like, ugh.
That's the amazing part, that where they're like, oh well, there aren't any boundaries. He can go anywhere, be anywhere, and they do. They're all over the kitchen counters, the dining room table, your bed,
Mm-mm.
and I'm just like, and like you said, after they've used the bathroom and their little sandbox, and they're kicking stuff around, and then yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let me tell you what he did to me. I
Mhm.
have some coconut oil in a little jar, right? A little cosmetic type jar. And so I had it open, and I had it because I was retightening my locks at the dining room table, right?
Mhm.
So I stepped away, and when I get back, he's licking all of the coconut oil out of the jar.
He ate.
Yes, he did. He did. He
Oh my
literally did. That's
god.
why I said I can't turn my back on him, because he's always up to something.
That, oh my gosh, that's horrendous.
Yeah, and I've had cat sits before, so this is the first one, where I've had these kind of issues. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, they'll be like, "Don't let them get up here," keep the chairs pushed in. And normally the cats don't go there. Like if they can't jump on a chair and then jump on the table, right?
Right.
So, but this one is extra. He is extra, and I can't trust him.
Oh my gosh, that is. I can't even. So how? I'm sorry. You just threw so much, like from eating the foam, vomiting, eating your hair. That's just. I feel like at least with dogs, you have that, like they can only go so many places. You can at least like barricade some areas.
Right.
With a cat,
The only way I can get away from him is to go in the room. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'll go in the room and I'll close the door because, like, especially if I'm eating something, because I have to go in there and eat.
Right.
Eat in peace. And you know what I found out too, because I grew up with dogs, so I'm not a big cat person either, and so I didn't know a lot about cats, but I didn't realize they were carnivores.
Oh.
Yeah, they have to be fed like meat diet.
Yeah, I guess they do get a lot of fish and stuff. Yeah.
Right, and that's why, because you can't feed them vegetable diets.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to even look up, and I know it sounds silly, but I looked up if they ate people.
Haven't you heard that thing though? Like if a owner like dies in their house, a dog will like never eat the owner, but a cat would definitely eat the owner at some point. I don't know if that's true, but that's just something
they claim, and I think this is from I guess the person being alive.
Yeah.
That cats don't eat people; they just eat like rodents and like mice and whatever other rodents there are. But it's crazy. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see why people would want to have a cat. I don't see the advantages of having a cat.
Well, mice, if you have mice in your house.
Well, I haven't had that problem.
The people, like I was talking to my friend and she mentioned everyone in her apartment has a mouse problem except for her because she has 2 cats.
Wow, I've never had that issue, and maybe it's just because I stay in like more upscale type apartment buildings and townhomes and things like that, because I don't want those problems.
Right.
I don't want to have a cat because and that's on the, if somebody has mice or rats or whatever in where they're living, that's on the owner. It's a slumlord.
Right.
They're supposed to make sure that rodents can't get in and that they're exterminating on a regular basis.
Right. That's true. I haven't, just to clarify, I haven't had mice problems with trusted house sitters on the houses. This is just like me right out of college, living with many people. And also, DC is this full of rats. Like, let's be real. I see the rat traps like in every neighborhood here. But word, let me just see what else. Oh yeah. So how many? I didn't ask this. So you joined Trusted House Sitters in November, but how many pet sits have you had so far?
Maybe about 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I haven't been doing back-to-back house sits because, like I said, I'm on a sabbatical.
Right.
And sometimes I do Airbnb, even though I hate Airbnb. I'm really trying to.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, and then it's just like here. You could get an Airbnb. There's no hot water. There's this problem. There's that problem, and the people, the owners, don't want to fix any of the problems. And you're kind of almost stuck, even though, because I had that issue with the heat when I was in Portugal, and I had gotten an Airbnb, but I was able to get all my money back, most of it, except one night that I stayed.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize you can say, hey, this isn't working out. They promised me heat. They said they had central heat, and she had it in her description, right? And I asked about that too. So if anybody doesn't know that when you book an Airbnb, they take a snapshot of the descript, everything like it was when you signed up for it.
Oh,
So
good.
if we go back in, because she tried to go back in and change some stuff. You know what I mean? So when they look, they're like, well, there's nothing in here where she says she had central heat, right? So she tried to go back in and change some stuff, but they have a snapshot of it. So,
Good. That's
yeah,
sneaky. That's just not a good vibe.
it's not.
But circling back to trusted house sitters, when you start talking about heat, could you repeat what you said about the bills and the situation you're dealing with your current sit? Because
Oh, yeah.
I have never heard this before. And this,
Yeah, well, they told me, because here in Playa del Carmen, the electric bill comes every 2 months, I believe.
oh, okay.
And or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that one.
Mm.
But they said, well, they're going to be slipping the electric bill under the door, and we want you to pay the bill. And it's down at there's this convenience store called Oxo.
Oh,
And
yeah. Also, yeah, they're all over Mexico.
right, so that's where you're supposed to go pay it. But it's not around the corner. And it's so hot, I'll probably have to take a cab to go pay this bill. Why they can't pay online, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they said claim they're going to leave me some money, but they didn't for incidentals. So I'm just like, what?
Did they acknowledge it? Were they like, oh, we forgot the money? Did they talk?
Haven't said anything about it. They haven't said anything about it. So, I mean, every now and then they check in. Hey, how's it going? Everything all right?
Oh.
Because they know.
So what were their expectations? Because that's something I always ask with any new pet sit. Like, how often do you want to hear how your pet is doing? Like, how often did they say, or have you been checking in with them on their cat?
I didn't check in with them.
You don't?
No, I don't have to. They didn't say I had to check in with them. Look, they ran out of town so fast because initially they wanted me to come the day before the sit started, right?
Yeah.
So they showed me everything, blah blah blah, and I was down, I was staying downtown in a hotel at the time, and so I'm just like, and it's really expensive to get a cab from down there.
Right.
They will talk about extortion. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm just like, so I was having trouble finding a cab to come and get me because they have like all these boundaries and stuff, and certain cabs can't pick up fares there, right? As they'll get in trouble. And I already had a guy that I had been using that, I know was affordable because, he was 80 pesos and the other ones be like 200 or 300 pesos, right?
Right.
So I'm just like, well, I want this guy, and but anyway, what happened was, I called him on the day I was supposed to come over, and I was like, hey, I'm having trouble getting a cab, because initially I asked them about the car, because sometimes the owners will let you drive their car.
Right.
This place isn't near any transportation. You need a car if you're out here.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, and so, and I was only asking about if they had a car, because I was thinking about bringing mine here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they claim it was something wrong with the car. Oh, we're not driving the car because XYZ. But then when I was like, well, I'm having trouble getting a cab, affordable cab anyway. Oh, we'll come and get you.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, they're able to come and get me. There's nothing wrong with the car.
Okay.
I'm sitting here looking. Yeah, the car's sitting out there, in the driveway, and I'm just sitting here like, having to take a cab everywhere, and
yeah, that's been a struggle for me too. I honestly don't even like the idea of driving the pet owner's car, even if they offer it to me. It just seems just like way too high risk. Like, even if nothing happens, what if they come back and they're like, oh, something's different with my car? Oh, now this, like, it's just, I don't want to mess with that level of risk.
Well, it depends. I mean, if they want me running errands, like paying their electric bills, I need to access.
No, they're buying my Ubers.
Yeah, well, that too. But that wasn't offered. That wasn't offered. So it's one of those things, and a lot of them don't. They're sometimes, because I know I had this one house sit, and the little bed she prepared for me. I mean, it just was like slave quarters to me.
Wait, with the house sit, did you, when you saw, because you know, like with trusted house sitters, they kind of show you what the house looks like first. Did it look worse than what they showed?
Um, I don't know if it looked worse, but I was like, well, I don't think I want to sleep over there, and I didn't.
Well, then why did you take the sit if you didn't like how it looked?
I was just getting, getting some in, you know what I mean? So I get, to get the reviews and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like, I was outside or anything, and like you say, there weren't rodents or anything in the house. It was the house sit was decent except for the way they prepared the little bed, because it looked to me like something like a child would sleep in,
Oh.
and it just wasn't made up. I don't know. There was no pillow. It was off the hook. So
Oh.
I slept out in the living room with the cat.
What the hell? I'm sorry, because for me, I'm still struggling with the fact that on Trusted House Sitters that we're not getting paid. So we're getting paid in the housing. So if you are in a situation where you have to sleep on the bed, that's just unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but I mean, you can't really do any. Like I said, once they leave out of town, you're kind of stuck.
Right. And like you brought up some of the, like if there's a problem with the housing itself, I also feel like there's nothing I can do, because it's not like an Airbnb with like customer service and like, hey, this isn't meeting my standard, hey, this isn't matching the listing. I really don't get the impression, just based on my interactions with trusted house sitter support, that they're like really making sure that we as sitters are getting our value. I feel like as a pet owner, it's pretty easy to get your money's worth. That's just I feel like the grass is greener on that side. But with
Right.
a sitter, it's like it really comes down to the quality of the accommodations. And there's no way to really filter for that. So every time I see a sit in a place I want to go to, I feel like I'm in detective mode, trying to figure out, okay, let me try to excavate all these red flags because I know they're not going to be upfront about it. Okay, let me make sure the house is actually cute. I always do a little video call, but it's just like, it's just so much time and energy just to get that. And then even still, there could still be something wrong. And then it's like, okay, am I going to complain to the pet owners who are on vacation?
Yeah.
They don't really, they're hosts, but they're not like host in that way. Like, oh no, this bed is uncomfortable. Could you do something? Like, yeah, I feel like we're kind of just forced to endure whatever the situation is.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just have to ask a lot of questions, and some of them you won't even think about, because I know, and this wasn't the owner's fault. It was a young guy, because I was actually going to go get my apply for my residency visa for Mexico.
Oh,
See, and so I was able to get a house sit over there, which is great, because the hotels over there are really crazy.
they are?
Yeah. Oh,
I've actually never stayed out. I've only done Airbnbs in Mexico.
well, no, I mean like hotels. I'm talking about hotels in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
Like,
DC.
yeah.
Oh, you mean in terms of the prices? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really expensive. So of course, when I got, I was applying for house sits over there, and I got one with this young guy. He lived in a apartment complex, and so so I had made arrangements. I actually had canceled, because I was actually staying in an extended stay hotel.
Okay.
And then, so I canceled it when I got the house sit, because I had to start earlier.
Okay, where?
Right. And so,
DC?
what's that?
This is DC?
I was in Charlotte doing
Okay,
the extended stay hotel,
mhm,
and I was driving to DC, right?
got it.
But then we found out later, because because he knew I was driving, and so he tried to get me like a parking permit or something. What we found out at that time, guests aren't allowed to park at his apartment complex.
Mm.
I wasn't going to be able to park my car there. And then, he tried to see if I could get one of the street parking permits, and I couldn't get that either. You know what I mean? And it was too late for me to cancel my plans, because I'd already canceled my extended stay
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I ended up having to get some offsite, some parking that was about 3 or 4 blocks away, right? And the place where he was living was being gentrified.
Mm.
So that 3 or 4 blocks, that was the hood. You know what I'm saying? And I got stalked. Some guy, some Pookie Ray Ray bandit was stalking me when I came out of, because and this is the kind of scary part. The parking was behind a building,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and when you get back there, it's isolated. There's not a bunch of people back there. So
Right.
I would be always hurrying up trying to get everything. And I even called an Uber to come and pick me up from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was, sometimes I would just walk down there to make sure the car was okay and, hadn't been broken into or anything.
Oh my gosh.
And, like I said, this one time, this guy just started following me.
So damn creepy.
Yeah. So, and it was crazy. Like I said, it was not the owner's fault. He did not know. That was something he added, when they have like the little, I don't know, that little, I guess, digital guidebook that they have to fill out
Yeah,
online.
the welcome guide.
Yeah. Yeah, he put that in there, and then he had to put in there because the fire alarm went off on a Sunday, and his cat ran and hid, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it because I was trying to find him so we could go downstairs and not get burned up by the fire, right? But I couldn't.
It was like a legit fire. It wasn't just like a random someone burnt some eggs. It was legit fire.
It was one of those fake alarms. You know what I mean? How they set it up and it's not a real. It's like a fire drill, right?
Oh,
but I didn't know if it was real or not.
right.
So I couldn't get the cat. I finally found him behind the refrigerator, and I couldn't get him. There was no way I could reach back there and grab him. So I was like, oh no, he's gonna have to burn up in the fire, right? But I decided to look out in the hallway and see what was going on. Like, is this real? And there's people still in the apartments talking. There's people in the elevator.
Yeah.
So I realized that I didn't need to worry about it. So I didn't even leave the apartment. But just little things like that. And he, so when I told him about it, he was like, oh, well, I was like, he just started doing that. I'm gonna put it in the, the little guidebook. But
okay, at least they're documenting it. So
right, yeah. Well, not the people I'm with now, but that he did.
Right, yeah. So just to like shift gears a little bit, and we can like focus in on like trusted house sitters. I know, like, I feel like every time I do another sit, I learn about a new deal breaker or a green flag, and I feel like I'm just collecting little gems here and there. So could you talk about like some of those things for you, like especially this, you've already been on 6 sits, knowing what you know now about this current sit, what are some red flags that you didn't pick up on right away that you definitely pay attention to now? And if you need time to think, I can go first.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any like particular red flags because in that case I wouldn't have agreed to the sit.
Right, but you know how these pet parents be, they have blinders on. What it's like their kids like, oh, my baby can do no wrong, and they're kind of,
that's true. All you can do is ask more questions.
Right.
Has this cat or dog been socialized? How are they around other animals? Because I can even give you an example where the pet parent was saying bad stuff about the pet. It's a big dog, right?
Oh,
like, oh, he's going to be doing this, he's going to be doing that, and and I kept telling him, I was like, wow, your mama was just telling all kind of lies about you.
I would prefer that. Like, I wish I got more of that. Like, I'd rather know up front and have just be extremely vigilant rather than think like, oh, this dog is pretty independent, but then I realize I can't turn my back around her.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was interesting, and I don't think she was making up stuff. I think that's how he is with her. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing too. I feel like as a pet parent, it's hard to have real awareness on how your pet behaves when you're not around, because how would they know? So they really can't always give you the best impression. One thing that I've encountered is just on Trusted House Sitters in general, people do use some coded language. Like, no one's telling us that their dogs are clingy. They'll use words like, oh, they're really affectionate. Oh, they love cuddles. So now that has become a red flag for me, even though I thought that was really sweet at first. And with this dog, I get into the story in my beef with Trusted House Sitters video, but this dog has a stomach of glass. And even when I arrived on the sit, she had like chronic diarrhea, which has continued for 3.5 weeks, including some indoor diarrhea, multiple cleanups, indoor vomiting, multiple cleanups, a lot of outdoor vomiting, thank goodness, because now I know, like, she makes this, I'm not going to get into the details, but she makes a sound. You can tell when the dog's about to, so we run outside.
Yeah, I watched that video.
Yeah, it's just been, it's really just been affecting my sleep and just a lot of things. And Dee, who connected us for this video, I feel like she said it perfectly. What did she say in her message? I'm gonna pull it up real quick because I just loved, I'm gonna read it out loud. Yeah, I'm checking on y'all because we didn't start house sitting to introduce a new trauma into our lives. And I was like, I literally screamed when I read that, because even now I feel very, I don't know, like, what is your impression or mentality around leaving bad reviews? Because I'm very reluctant to leave a bad review. I feel like it's pretty warranted in this case. I feel like I should have been informed that the pet was sick before I arrived. And as I've like spent more time in the sit and asked more questions, I found out even before this, she was sick with something else for months and months on end. And they kind of like switched up her food to try to fix things. But then I feel like that caused the diarrhea that I'm dealing with now. And I have none of that information. But yeah, what are your thoughts on bad reviews? Like, have you given a bad review? What's your thoughts on giving bad reviews? Would you give a bad review for this one?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I have not given any reviews, actually.
What? Why not?
because I have something bad to say.
Each time.
Now, I've been letting people have it on Airbnb because I'm paying for that, right?
Right. I feel way more comfortable with Airbnb.
Right. But I thought about it for this one is in particular. The other ones, it was little things, you know what I mean? And overall, the sit was okay. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say it was the best ever, like people like to do. And I'm just not, I'll just be quiet and let them rate me and give me a 5.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with this particular one, I probably will say something. I'm not going to give them a bad rating, but I am going to describe the pet behavior.
Yeah. Okay.
Because people should know. I don't want anybody getting bitten. I don't want anybody getting scratched. I don't want them. Well, I don't know. They might not be able to stop them from eating, plastic.
How can you?
So, but but I had to get the mop out. You know what I mean? I had to clean up that mess. It was huge. And because you wouldn't think, just like you were saying about the dog was so small, but you couldn't believe all that poop was in there. It's the same thing with the vomiting. It's like, oh my gosh, where's all this coming from? It's like a person did it.
I feel I'm having flashbacks.
So I would say, I think we should. You don't have to be just going in. You know what I mean? But I still think you should let other people know. It's just really important to not. And actually, I just wanted to add too with the upset tummy, the diarrhea thing. You can really fix that by feeding them rice.
This dog has such a stomach of glass. Like, I've been constantly talking to the pet parents, and they were like arguing among themselves on whether or not to give this dog rice because she's that sensitive. So I just listen to what they say, because this dog is literally, I don't think they figured out what to feed this dog yet.
Have they ever given the dog rice, or they're just going, oh, he's so sensitive? Because
no, they have. I think she's everything. It's insane.
And she gets diarrhea from it?
I didn't ask the details, but she's just so particular. Like I just do exactly what they say because
They
I
would have been
ain't taking that accountability.
I don't know. I know that works because I know when
But this dog is literally like, apparently she had like an ear infection for months related to her food. Like this is like a whole nother level of allergy I've never encountered.
yeah, and in these type of cases though, and you have you given them a review yet, or you didn't?
No,
Is
I'm
it
still,
is
I'm
it
still,
past the review time?
I'm still here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so um, I would say with this one though, because you should probably say that they should have hired someone to sit for a sick, because I've seen this before. Even with on this sit, initially they were saying I had to give him some kind of injections for diabetes. Right? Yeah, and I'm already putting like some renal medicine in his food.
What's
Which is
Reno?
fine. Renal. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay. No need to.
yeah. So I'm already putting that in his food.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and he's on this crazy schedule too. I
Yeah.
don't know if you have you seen the dishes that are on the timer, the food bowls that are on the timer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on a timer, so he eats about 5 times, within a 24-hour period, but it's not enough for him, and he'll start howling and screaming, 2 hours before it's time for him to eat again.
Gosh, I don't love
So,
that. 5 times a day. At least they have the automatic feeder.
well, I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's automatic after I prepare. I have to prepare it every evening.
Sorry, this dog is barking. Hold up.
Is that the one you're sitting with?
Yeah, she barks whenever there's activity outside.
Oh, she's big.
She's not big.
Oh my gosh,
She just has a big dog bark.
she sure does.
Yeah, she's like, when you see her, she's just like a little poofy thing.
That's
Like I
interesting.
can pick her up. She's like under 30 pounds. So yeah.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, she barks a lot louder. She poops a lot more. Like I was talking to someone at the dog park who has like 2 big German shepherds, and they were like, "Yo, that dog poops a lot."
No, right?
I'm like, "Damn, your dogs are like 3 times the size." And
I had a dog. I had a big dog like that. He had the big poos, and I was like, ugh. I had to pick it up twice a day, and it was a really, really nice. This was a really one of those really nice neighborhoods. They live in the mini mansions, so
oh
I have zero tolerance for dog poo.
yeah, I realize I don't have much tolerance for dog poop, especially the diarrhea. It's just so messy. I don't need to get into the details, but picking up diarrhea for 3.5 weeks has like broke me.
Yeah, and that's one of those cases where you should be getting paid for a house sit. You know what I'm saying? I think trusted house sitters should probably, and maybe that's something we can all suggest. A bunch of us that they implement something where if the dog is sick, they have to pay, maybe $50 a week or something. If you have to administer it.
It should be $50 a day.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice because we're still getting the free housing or whatever.
Right, but if you're dealing with a dog for a week, $50 doesn't really. That's not enough compensation for that.
Okay, so you think it should be $50 a day?
Well, it's tricky. I feel like it's really hard to implement a hard and fast rule around being sick because sometimes, like I was talking to another pet owner who I'm about to sit for, and they mentioned that they had a sitter who apparently like left their like bag out open and the dog got into their supplements and ate them all. So in that case, that dog got sick because of the sitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like I feel like there should be a very specific harsh penalty around leaving a sitter with a sick dog because I feel like that's not cool. But if the dog becomes sick during your sit, then I
that's
feel like
different.
they're going to be penalized. But I think it should be like a really high punitive because because I feel like people are so money oriented, especially on trusted house sitters. Like it's an exchange, but there's an economics around it, and we're all paying what $100, $200, $300 a year for this membership. So
Not me. I'm not paying.
you got it for free?
Yeah, well, I pay the initial fee, and then
Right.
I did a video. I think you said I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
saw your video on it.
Right, yeah. So I put the code in there, refer a friend code,
Right.
and now I have up to 5 years of free house sits.
5 years?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Okay, you need to tell me your secrets because I want to get that 5 years.
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about paying for trusted house sitters anymore for a while. But
5 years?
I have over like I think 230 months free or something, but I think the cap is 5 years.
Whoa! Just from that one video, you got that much?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll tell you offline how it happened.
Okay, well, I want to ask because I could use some of that too because I'm still in my first year of Trusted House Sitters, but I would love not to have to pay it. So I put my code in the description if anyone wants to use it. Save you some 25%. Give me a couple months because we're giving you that good content. But yeah, circling back. But I'm just saying, like with the economics of Trusted House Sitters, it's not cheap. Like compared to the other platforms available. So people still might be thinking, well, it's still cheaper for me to use Trusted House Sitters than to pay for a rover to deal with my sick pet. So I might as well use Trusted House Sitters. So that's why I feel like there should be a high penalty if someone is leaving you with a sick dog. Like if that dog is not 100%, like that just.
I agree because it's a lot more work. And I think you mentioned it before. We're supposed to be on vacation too, so it's not fair for us to have to be sitting home with a sick pet.
Yeah, and cleaning.
Yeah.
Constantly. Dookies.
Yeah, throw up, whatever it is.
Both.
Even though this one wasn't, I mean, I guess technically he is ill. He's recovering from some stuff, but generally speaking, he's not like sickly. Not all the stuff he's been getting into.
Right, like he's just eating stuff he's not supposed to be eating and then getting
stuff, jumping all over the place. So he's good.
Yeah. Okay, word. Yeah. I think I'm just trying to think of like what, because you're gonna continue house sitting even after this bad experience, right? Or are you done?
I probably will, but I mean, I'm not going to be like a year-round house sitter or back to back house sits or anything like that. Just because I would like a break where I don't have to worry about a pet.
Right.
So I don't do it like that, and plus, like I can, but I do want to take advantage of it because I did pay for a year.
Right, absolutely.
People sign up and they don't use the service.
Wait,
I've spoken to people who have.
How they pay that much and not use it?
Well, they got the deep pockets.
Okay.
A lot of people got deep pockets. See, people look at Black women and they think Black women don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Black women got deep pockets, way deeper than mine. Yeah, I'm just sitting here looking. Yeah, she got some deep pockets.
Yeah. Wait, so you know people who on this platform but aren't using it? They just bought. Why'd they buy it? For no reason, or they thought they were going to.
They intend on doing it, but they just never get around to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which makes sense though, because I mean, if all the people that were on the platform were actively using it, we wouldn't be able to get any sits.
Right.
Because I think you said it was 144,000 people on there.
Yeah.
So, and it's 6,000 sits total.
Yeah.
So, that the math doesn't add up.
Well, it does because it's like time dependent. Like not all the sits are constantly posted. It's just like cycles in and out.
As far as people, like as many people that are on the site. If everybody's, I mean, if there's like 10,000 people applying for one sit, that's not happening.
Hopefully there are not that many people.
I mean, it's not, I mean, I think a lot of people, they're, like I said, they're probably inactive.
Right. Yeah. I was wondering if they're including inactive people. Hopefully they wouldn't count that in their numbers because
they probably are. I wouldn't be surprised if they're counting everybody that's just signed up for the platform.
I guess anyone who's still actively paying, which could be a lot of people. Word.
And it could include the ones that aren't paying too.
Maybe. But yeah, either way, they got the numbers because have you looked into other house sitting platforms? Because the ones I've seen have like maybe a couple hundred. So it's just so much less.
I looked at one, but it was more like a exchanging labor for housing, and oh my gosh, talk about slavery. Oh my god.
Wait, what kind of labor?
Like if they're building, like if they're doing some construction work or something, you come in there and you do free construction. I haven't heard these people say they was like literally outside, sleeping out in like a barn or something.
No.
Look, hey, look, it's just like, when you see the house sits with 10 pets.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell no.
Five dogs, 3 cats, 2 chickens and a squirrel, those type of people, and you're supposed to take that house sit. I'm like, no way. I would spend the whole time caring for those pets.
Right.
I wouldn't have any time to myself, and I still got to squeeze out a video every now and then. So I'm just like, I'm not taking any of those. I'm not doing all that work. I mean, those are the type of people that need to pay somebody, but nobody wants to pay. Everybody wants free labor.
I know. I've been really thinking about that. I'm like, of course, it's easy for us as sitters to see like how much better off the pet owners are. But I'm like, this is like there is Rover, like people be paying for this type of service. Mm-hmm. But then I was just reading some Reddit threads and it made me realize from like the owner's perspective, the money that they're saving on pet care, they're just using it to extend their trips. You know, like they're not paying 3 weeks on Rover instead of doing a 3-week house. They might have just done a 1-week trip because it would have been so much more money. So yeah, but I still feel like they're very advantaged because at least they get to pick the dates. They know what's up. They are free from their animal when they want to be. Like they have all the information and all the comfort. And also, like when stuff goes wrong, like it's not clear on how to rebalance things. Girl, sorry about that, but there's like no. She's wilding right now. There's no way to there's no recourse to rebalance things. Like in our situations, like what would make it right? Or like, do you expect them to make it right with you in any sort of way?
I don't expect them to do it because it's not a requirement.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's nice if they do it. I mean, just like them coming to pick me up, I didn't expect them to do it, but I was like, I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, I'm going to be here for a very long time. Right. So I'm like, the least you can do is, come and pick me up.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So I don't know. To me, they do the absolute minimum.
Can we talk about that though? Because when you talked about like the least they could do is pick me up, there was actually one house sit I recently applied for, and they responded to you send me that first message. They responded to me with a wall of text with so many questions, including asking if I could drive them to the airport and like all these things out the gate. And I was like, you realize I'm doing this completely I was just like it was just so mismatched for me. Like sometimes I feel like there is those like really entitled people who are just like, well, I can ask for anything under the sun. But I feel like from my perspective, it's like, yo, you should have like some level of healthy boundaries because we are not being paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I've also seen that wild, like some people are really generous. They'll like offer to buy some groceries and do stuff like that. But then some people are like, oh, can you do even more for me? Like the laundry list of stuff they come up with. I'm like, oh, the people I'm sitting for now, I thought they were suggesting that I mow their lawn. And I'm like, oh, sorry, that went over my head.
I know, for real.
I'm like, I already cleaned up your dog's indoor diarrhea twice, vomit multiple times. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're just seeing how far they can push the envelope. I don't know. But even just here, I'm keeping the place neat, like I'm sweeping up, because his hair is, every clumping
Oh.
everywhere. So, and some of it's my hair too. So, I'm sweeping up and, trying to do it on a, fairly regularly so it will not be, pile up on me and stuff. But, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be, I'm not the housekeeper, so I'm not going to be cleaning up the house like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Have you had house sits with cleaning services offered?
I have not. I've had a Airbnb where they had somebody come in once a week, but not for the because in the initial ones too, the people were, well, at least the first one, she didn't have like a huge house or anything, just a big regular house. That was the one with the slave quarters, but
Girl, makes me so sad.
so she didn't she didn't have a big fancy house or anything like that, so of course she didn't have anybody coming in cleaning. But I made sure, I always like to leave places how I found them. So
Right.
if I find it messy, that's how you're going to get it back.
Have you found any messy? Because that's against the rules.
Not really. most
Okay,
most
good.
most of the houses have been like neat, nice and neat, and not where but I've seen some, especially with Airbnbs, but we won't get on that one.
Yeah.
Where the houses, it was so well, I don't know if it was funny, but you know how people have like a really cluttered house that has stuff everywhere. When this person actually still lived in the house. It's just when the Airbnb got booked, she would go somewhere else.
Okay, word.
But I don't know, maybe her boyfriend house or something. I don't know. But there would be nowhere for them to put their stuff because all her stuff in the closets and the drawers and stuff.
Word. Yeah, but on trusted house sitters, it's usually been good. Like, luckily, I've experienced the same. Like, the houses have always been really nice.
Yeah, the houses are have been pretty good as far as being clean and neat and not, at least just not not nasty,
Yeah.
no roaches or anything like that. So
It needs to be above that. The no roaches versus where I want to stay, there's a big old gap. So, like,
I'm just saying, you just never know. You
right.
never know. I mean, well, there was a spider, but that's
Megan is bad.
it's not the same as a roach, but it was,
Oh, yeah, no. I
you
would
know,
wait for a spider.
I'm just relaxing in bed, and all of a sudden he's coming down on his web. I'm just like, oh my god.
Little Charlotte, Nancy the spider. Okay.
Yes, yes, yeah. But it's not the same, it's just the one. But
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, just weird things like they I don't she had made a comment about using the dryer because it uses a lot of gas.
Oh, to not use the dryer?
Yeah, well, she didn't say I couldn't use it, but how they kind of get innuendos. Um,
Right. Yeah.
'cause she was like, well, I usually line dry the clothes because it uses so much gas.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like, I've thought about like the whole idea of like house rules around trusted house sitters, but I realize it's really no different from Airbnb. Like, they do set some level of rules around what to do and not do. Um yeah, I've had a sit before that mentioned that they didn't want me to use, or they would prefer if I avoided using the appliances during certain hours because we were in Denver at the time. Maybe it's a Denver thing. And apparently, the bills for utilities are like triple during certain times of the day just to encourage people to not. It was like, it's like early afternoon to early evening on weekdays or something
Mhm.
like that. So that was like, okay, at least I can use it, but word. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would have been a deal breaker for me, like not to be able to use, like, say, for instance, the air conditioning because
Oh
it's
yeah.
crazy hot here. And I asked about that too, and
Has anyone said to not use like air conditioning and stuff?
they have not
Oh,
not not so far, not from like any, because initially when I started sitting, it was winter. Uh,
okay, yeah.
but I'm talking about since I've been in Playa del Carmen,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, and that would have been a deal breaker for me if I couldn't use it because everybody's worried about their electric bill. But luckily they have solar power.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I can use the electric, the air conditioning all day. which is great.
Absolutely. Good.
Because I thought about it. I mean, I weighed the pros and cons of being out here in the, I'm calling it the boonies, but it's just, not a lot of options for public transportation, but they don't have a lot anyway in Playa. So, so to get some work done, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like a working sabbatical. Um, but I'm trying to get everything done so when I go to Mexico City, I
Yeah,
won't have to be, I can just relax more.
absolutely. I feel that. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour, so maybe we can do some like final thoughts, final gems.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I'm curious, what are like three things that you look for in a house sit that you feel like everyone should be looking for? Like those that aren't like super obvious for someone who's like brand new, like 6 week or 6 sits in. Like, what have you really started to be like, oh, I need to ask for this now. I need to look for this now.
Right. Yeah. Well, definitely, ask about pet behavior.
Yeah.
Ask about utilities and things like that. The use of the utilities and and transportation options, because you can get hemmed up. You're thinking you're going, oh wow, I'm going to Playa del Carmen. I'm going to stay at this place, and then you find out, you're going to have to be cabinet the whole time. Because
Right.
people are online talk about how fabulous it is. I'm not saying it's not fabulous in Playa del Carmen, but it's not the paradise everybody, keeps talking about. And if
Oh,
you're talking about living, a life of ease and leisure and those types of things that we like to talk about, doing the least and being comfortable, you might find it's not as comfortable, when you get there. If
right.
you're blind, if you're not asking the questions about transportation, how far away is this? And even looking at the distance, because people want to go to the beach,
Right.
and make sure you look at the temperatures before you go. Because if you're like me, you're not gonna like the as hot as it is, because
Right.
humidity and the temp together, it'll be like feels like 106, feels like 112. And it does. And it does. And even at night. So, so
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
terrible. That's how
Yeah.
I'm feeling right now in DC. Feels
Mhm.
like 95 right now. I'm like, this weather is crazy. But what you just said also just like super resonates because I definitely, one thing I've noticed with trusted house sitters is that people really generalize where they live. They don't, it's of course for safety purposes, but like I was in Denver and I agreed to a sit in Denver, and just like how they labeled it, there's like Denver, Denver, Denver. But then when I got the address for the sit, it was not in Denver. It was in like a suburb, like almost an hour drive away, no access to public transit. And I was like, what the heck? And I know Trusted House Sitters has these filters. You can filter for city, you can filter for all these things, but still, the people who are not in cities still slip through just based on how they categorize their place. Because Trusted House Sitters is not like standardizing and making sure people are actually accurately saying where they live. So you definitely have to check it out. I've definitely gotten into the habit of asking for like landmarks nearby just so I can like scope it out and
Mhm.
really make sure like, okay, train's over here, okay, there's a grocery store walking distance. Like I need to know those things now because like you said, like it's our, especially as people who are nomadic and travelers, it's so
Mhm.
important. Like these are our homes, and it could just get real frustrating real quick if you find out, oh, you're in a place that you need a car, you don't have a car, or it's really hard to
Mhm.
park, or there's an unexpected parking fee, or there's unsafety with when it comes to our parking. It's just there's just so many things to
Mhm.
so many things. But now, for me, in terms of my red flags, I feel like I was really thinking about it. I think I need dogs that are a little bit older, or I just need to find dogs that are truly like no drama and just like don't have like barking issues, don't have any behavioral issues. I did want to ask about the sit you are on now. Did they have a review before that or any sitter before
They
that?
did, but they were good reviews. Now I might have to go back through and see,
Yeah.
read between the lines maybe.
Right.
But they were good reviews. Oh, I just love, sitting with, I'll call him Carlton.
Right.
And and that kind of thing. And they just won't tell a lot of people just won't tell the truth.
Right. Like even just like we were just talking, I feel very hesitant. I would rather leave no review than a bad review because I don't want to risk any blowback because this is my main source of housing and I
I
don't want
don't
to risk any retaliation or drama.
I don't think I'm not sure how they do it because I haven't left any reviews. Do they hold your review until the other people put theirs out, or how's that work?
It's automatic but you can reply to whatever review is on your profile.
Because that's how they do it with of course, Airbnb.
Right.
If you put
That's
yours out, they won't release it before the other people put theirs out.
that's another problem with trusted house sitters. It's not like Airbnb. It's not a blind review. Like I can read the review I got before I even give them mine.
Oh, see, and that's bad.
Exactly.
That's when it's bad because then they can maybe make up some stuff, and so that's maybe something.
Exactly. So it's hard to be honest because someone could retaliate,
Mm-hmm.
or if they give you outlandishly nice review, then you feel guilty or awkward about leaving them a bad run, and then they can start all
I
this.
don't feel bad about it at all. I had that happen with Airbnb, and
But Airbnb is a totally different beast from trusted house sitters. Is this a different dynamic?
I don't know, but still, I mean, I get what you're saying, but if it's a especially challenging sit, I think other sitters deserve to know, what they experienced, and I think you can say it without just going in on the people.
Right. That's true.
I'm going to
But
leave
you're
my
saying this is somewhat but you haven't left a single review though. Why haven't you? Even though you've left bad ones, and now you're saying other sitters deserve to.
Because the problems that the other ones were like little small issues.
Okay.
This cat.
You would definitely leave a review.
Yeah, this cat is. I feel like he's dangerous.
Oh God. Oh yeah, Hellcat.
Yeah, because because he did bite me. I mean, he didn't break the skin, so I don't think he was trying to. Like I said, he hasn't attacked me or anything like that, and so he doesn't. He it's not like he's fearful of me because he comes around me all the time, and I'm like, hey guy, we're not buds like that. We're not friends. What are you doing here? Why are you sitting in my lap?
Oh, that's confusing because then it'll be like, oh, let's be friends, and then okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, nope. You burned that bridge. You have burned that bridge. So, I mean, I take care of him. I feed him his, he gets his 5 meals a day, and, uh,
5 meals a day.
He eats 5 meals a day.
I know. Thank goodness for that automatic feeder.
Yeah, because otherwise he would be eating nonstop all the time.
Damn.
And I'm not sure why he's like that. But even other
a tapeworm or something like, geez.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know why. I don't know why they like him. I just don't. I don't know. So
dang. Yeah. Also, I imagine from like a pet owner perspective, well, I know some people do get rid of their pets if they're bad, but also it's like you can't get rid of your kids like that, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like as a pet owner, I feel like that makes me kind of nervous and kind of made me realize I'm more of a dog auntie than a dog mom because I'm like, it's just too random. Like some dogs I vibe with, some of them I'm like, this is very exhausting. I couldn't live with this dog forever.
Yeah, they all have different personalities. That's why you have to ask more probing questions. And if anybody wants to tune in to Leisure and Lace, I'm going to be talking more about the questions you should ask, especially as it pertains to behavior.
Absolutely. Yes. And I also got that written in my guide, all the things I asked and all the things I learned to ask after that because people don't always respond very quickly. Oh my gosh.
I know for me, I don't ask as many questions a lot of times, especially initially because you're trying to get the sit. You know what I mean? So
wait, then when do you ask your questions then?
Well, after they send me the invite. They'll send me an invite.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then I can choose whether or not I want to accept it or not.
Right.
So during that period is when I ask questions.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been asking them in my initial, like, I'm like, I need to know if there's a red flag on my end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, for me, you can't always tell. So I try to, so a lot of times, because we will be doing initial talking, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in order to grab me right away, they'll send me an invite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So,
that's a red flag to me. I'm like, I need more information.
well, they were trying to seal the deal so they could go on their vacation
I
and
know they
not
are,
have to worry
but
about this little bad cat.
it's a big old mystery on my end, so I need to get that revealed before I commit to anything.
Yeah. Well, I'll be asking, especially after this one, I'll definitely be asking more probing questions.
Like, what specific question would you ask that you didn't ask last time?
It'll just be more about like I say, socialization, vocalization. And when I say vocalization, I just mean right. Exactly. Because some cats are really quiet and they just do a little soft purring. Because I had one that he just did, it didn't even sound like purring, it was like bubbles, throat bubbles or something. But he was like really quiet, you know what I mean? This one is screaming, bamming on my door. Look, and I'm telling you, you would think this is a person doing this. He's knocking on it, he's scratching, and this is 6 a.m. whenever he feels like it, really. And like I said, really, like I said, he's not. At least I don't think he's trying to get me.
Oh
He,
my goodness.
he just wants something to eat.
Goodness.
Yeah, and he knows he's supposed to. He knows right around when the dish turns, because it's like a rotating dish,
Right.
and so he knows approximately what time he's supposed to be getting it, but he can't wait. You know what I mean? He's like, I want it now. I want to get. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy.
Yeah, it's tough. Do you think it would be easier to be on this set if the weather was better? You could just be out of the house more? Or do you feel like this is
Easier for me because then I wouldn't have to, be bothered. I would be. But they have a gym, so I'm gonna go check that out
Ooh.
week and see if it's a nice one. It's how some people, we got a gym, and then you get over there and it's
I ain't paying. It's so hard to get on my workout routine while traveling. So I get excited whenever there is a gym, even if I only use it once.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I have an incentive to go. So I can get a break, to be sitting in here with him all the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times I have to stay in my room with the door closed, especially if I want to, and if I go preparing something to eat, which that used to be a chore. But, as long as I have my spray bottle, you know what I'm saying? I can, but he's learning. He's not grabbing at me as much when I'm preparing food, because he knows he's going to get sprayed.
Good.
Yeah, so he kind of just sits there, or I'll give him the look, the mom look, that one.
Yeah.
And stay on for a minute, and they usually calm down when you give them the look.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so great chatting with you.
Thank you for having me on. Hopefully I can have you on my channels.
Yes, of course. Everyone should visit Leisure and Lace, amazing channel. We all talk about travel vibes, digital nomads, living a life of leisure. I love it. It's so important. That's kind of what brought us together. Stephanie Perry, Exit Summit. We're all about creating those opportunities for y'all. So yeah, definitely hope this helped. If you have any additional questions, put it in the comments. We'll get to it. All right, I'm gonna leave you to your Saturday, girl.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.